This is Tecker 911, episode 65, GPS. Hi, I'm Michael Plasmeier, and today we're going to talk about using GPS systems to navigate your way through in a car. So we have here two GPS systems. One is from Mio, the Mio DigiWalker, and a certain model number, and this here is TomTom's most basic device, the TomTom 1 version 3. So in both of these we're going to plan a route to a nearby computer electronics store, and we're going to tell you a bit about how GPSs operate and what features to look for when you're buying a GPS. So the first thing I guess that we're going to talk about is how to plan a route. And the thing about GPSs is that they really differ in how you use them. And some GPSs are easier than others to use. For example, I think this TomTom is easier to use than the Mio DigiWalker. However, to plan a route with the TomTom, first thing we do is we click here onto the map and anywhere on the map, and then we touch navigate to, and then we type in the address or the name of the point of interest that we're trying to locate. For instance, I know that the store is located at 522 Lancaster Avenue. So I can touch address and street and house number, and then I type the city, in this case Wayne, and I know that it's located on Lancaster Avenue, so I can type in Lancaster Avenue, and I know it's located at 522 Lancaster Road. And in this case we want to avoid highways in order to sort of give you, because maybe we don't like driving on highways. In this case we want to show you turns, so we're going to hit find alternative. Actually I didn't click it fast enough, so I'm going to touch find alternative here, calculate alternative, and you see here it's given us an avoidance. We can hit details, browse as text, and go over quickly the instructions that we're going to take. That sounds good. I'm going to hit done.
80 yards, turn left.
And you hear it's given me a voice command. Most GPSs, or all GPSs sold today, have voice commands. However, everything except the most basic models have what's called text-to-speech, where it'll announce what road you're going to travel on. This one does not have text-to-speech. This one does have text-to-speech. So, for instance, this one will say, turn at the second right, while this one will say, turn at the second right onto Eagle Road. And that is more helpful because if you're in a place where there are a lot of roads and you know the road name, this will actually tell you the road name, speak it out loud, whereas this one you have to look at the map to look at them. Alright, so that one's planned our route. This one, planning the route, is similar as well, although we click on the time to start, we click on the search, and for this one I'm going to show you how to find places using a points of interest. Points of interest are just locations on a map. They may be stores, they may be parks, they may be post offices, movie theaters. So we're going to search for points of interest, and we're going to type the name of the place that we're looking for. And you see it's come up that it knows this place, it knows it's 5.6 miles away. We can click on it, click OK, and we're going to click Route To. And you see there, it's created a route for us, and it's telling us what our next turn will be. This one also is a little bit nicer because it has a wider form factor. It can put more information on screen. You can actually close this and get a bigger map, or it'll tell you what the nearby places you're going to go to. Alright, so I think we're ready to get started here. We're going to turn the car on, and we're going to follow our first instruction, which is to exit here and to turn left onto Manoa Road. So now actually, because we were in a parking lot that's not mapped on here, it actually, the GPS does not know about parking lots. So when we pulled up to the exit, it's actually, the first turn here is right onto Eagle Road. Basically they're having a bit of trouble because, you know, it's a parking lot. Right. So you see, as we drive, the map actually reorients itself based on where you are. This supports you either airplane mode or north up mode, or I'm sorry, current direction up mode or north up mode. So I like driving with current direction up mode, and you can see both of these devices are telling us that we want to make a left on Westchester Pike.
After 300 yards, turn left.
So you can see they are kind of different in what kind of information they give you. So you look at the user interface to determine what you want it to do.
Turn left
onto Westchester Pike.
Now, I don't recommend actually driving with two at the same time. We're just driving with two to give you a comparison. But you see how both tell you which way to turn with the map, and also they tell you with arrows what your next move is going to be. These are both GPSs that you can add on, and these cost about $200, and you can use them in any car. When you buy it, they come with the GPS unit itself, a suction cup mount, if you can see that there, and a cable to plug into the cigarette lighter. So all GPSs pretty much come with those accessories. There are also, if you buy a new car, an option that's available is the in-dash GPS mount. The advantages of having one that's built into your car is that it's one unit in the actual dash. That means that it can't get lost or stolen. However, the disadvantages is the price. They usually run $1,000, while one of these is about $200. Also, you might have to buy a map update kit for them every so often. These you do also have to map update, but you'll probably end up getting a new device, so you can replace these, whereas the in-dash one you can't really replace. These also do get stolen in cars, so you should not be leaving them out. You should take them with you, is the advice that they give. And it all depends on the area that you live in. If you make a wrong turn with one of these, they'll automatically recalculate your route. That's most new ones sold today will automatically recalculate your route based on where you are. And then this is also helpful if you don't like the way that it's going. Just ignore what its instructions are telling you. Go the way that you think is best, and it will always give you the instructions from where you are right now. The time it takes for them to recalculate varies. They're usually a few seconds. You can also get a GPS device built into your phone. I've used this as part of a BlackBerry. The advantages to this is that if it's built into your phone, you already have it. You may have to pay a subscription charge of between $5 and $10 per month, or maybe $1 per route. This is cheaper than having one of these, and let's say you're in a new area, you're traveling somewhere, you're in a rental car, you have no idea where or what you're doing. Paying $1 or $2 per route is certainly better than having to buy one of these $2 devices, but these devices are certainly much better than the GPS devices that are built into a phone, because the devices that are built into a phone, they always have to download whatever data over the network, which is slow. So it probably takes about a minute to get the route up and running. Any recalculations takes about a minute. Generally slow. They're good in a pinch, but I wouldn't rely on them for day-to-day use. Another alternative to new GPS device is just to use Google Maps or Yahoo Maps or Windows Live Maps, print out the directions that you want ahead of time, and then just follow them. This is free. It only costs you the printer, and only costs you printer and ink. But if you make a wrong turn, then you're lost. So that's another alternative to one of these devices. Now we're going to talk about the features you want to look for on one of these devices when you're buying. You want to look at the screen size. For instance, this has a larger screen size than this device, and you may be willing to pay more in order to have the larger screen size than the smaller screen size. You'll want a nice user interface. For instance, the Magellan and the Garmin are what I consider to be the best. The TomTom is close behind, but the Mio is fairly hard to use. So, especially if you want simplicity over many features, look at something like Garmin or Magellan, and possibly TomTom for ease of use. Look for a device that includes a night mode. For instance, this one switches to night mode automatically, and I'm not sure about this one. What night mode is actually it'll dim the screen and it'll dim the screen brightness and change the colors of the screen so that they are very dark. Now you can't see this because it's during the day, but at night this does not overwhelm your eyes with the brightness of the screen, so that whenever you look at it, you sort of lose focus. So you'll want to look for one that includes night mode, and almost all of them do, but then you want one also that switches to night mode automatically when needed. Almost all of the devices use a touchscreen with an interface. The older ones had buttons on the side. Almost all of them sold today are just a touchscreen, and the only actual physical button is a power button located on them. Also, you'll want to look at which points of interest how many points of interest that they support. Of course, the more points of interest, the better. Points of interest are not perfect. There's always stuff missing, and there's some stuff that's out of date. So restaurants that have closed, phone numbers that have changed. So you have to be cautious of that. Another good thing is this TomTom comes with TomTom Map Share. This TomTom comes with TomTom Map Share, so it can actually download user contributed map and points of interest updates. So they're not official ones from TomTom. You still have to pay for those, but at least it can. Users can share what they've found with it, so that way it it stays up to date more than this Mio one, which is the only updates that are available are from the company itself. Another thing to look at is when the date that the maps were made. You can usually go into the menu and find the map date. Of course, the later ones are better. An advanced feature that some GPSs support is Bluetooth. And with Bluetooth, you can pair it with a Bluetooth-enabled phone. The primary feature that you can get is it'll actually take the phone book that exists on your phone and display it on the menu of your GPS system. And then it'll use the speakerphone that's included, the speaker and the microphone, so you can make hands-free calls in your car using your Bluetooth cell phone using only the GPS device. There's no additional hardware. Another plus is that while you're browsing points of interest, they'll include phone numbers, and you can just touch the phone number. It'll make a call to that point of interest, for example, a restaurant, to make reservations. So that one-touch ability is handy if you have a Bluetooth-enabled phone and a Bluetooth GPS. With some GPS devices, you can add a traffic receiver. Some of them have traffic receivers built in, and there are various traffic receivers. What a traffic receiver does is you have to, first of all, with a traffic receiver, you have to pay a subscription charge. So it may be between $5 or $8 a month. And once you have that subscription, it'll actually download traffic information onto your GPS and use that information to automatically reroute you if it senses a traffic jam. some new GPS devices now use historical data. So they have collected over the years historical data from fleet vehicles like UPS trucks and large shipping companies to find out what the actual speed on a particular highway is at that given time of day on that given either weekday or weekend. The advantage of this is that, well, normally GPSs calculate the best route based on the speed limit of that particular road. So, for instance, it might say a highway is the best way to go because you can go 55 miles an hour on the highway, whereas the local road you can go 30 miles an hour. However, if you have one that uses historical data, what'll happen is it'll know maybe at 4 p.m. on a Friday that the highway's average speed is actually 20 miles an hour and the local road is 30 miles an hour. So it'll actually route you onto the local road because it knows that that is a better choice at that time of day, whereas, you know, at maybe 3 a.m. on a Tuesday night or Tuesday morning, it'll know that the speed on the highway is 55 miles an hour, and in that case the highway is the best choice. Some devices also play MP3 files. Pretty much all except the most basic units have some sort of MP3 support, and the support is usually bad, but if you want to load some music or an audio book on it, you know, that can be advantageous. Some devices like this one actually have an SD card slot, so you can put in a secure digital card. They're very cheap these days, you know, $6 to $20 for 2 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes, so you can play music or audiobooks on there. Some devices like this TomTom let you download additional voices. So this TomTom actually lets me buy voices. They're about $5. So they have voices like a New York cabbie or celebrities do them. So if you're interested in that, you want to look for a device that supports that, like this TomTom, but not this Mio. One additional GPS device that we don't have here to show you is the Dash. And the Dash is two-way internet connected, actually uses the cell phone internet, which we talked about in an earlier episode, and it actually searches for points of interest directly on Yahoo local search. So when you enter a search, it actually will use the cell phone internet capabilities that are built into it to go on Yahoo, look up the most recent information from Yahoo, as well as customer reviews on Yahoo Local and other stuff. So that way you have that live capability, and that's only available on the Dash GPS device. The Dash is $300 plus it's an additional $12 a month for service. One issue that we did not cover in this episode is GPS devices for hunters, for outdoorsmen, for like hikers, or boating GPS devices. All of these are sort of specialized devices. For example, the ones for outdoorsmen include topographical maps instead of street maps, and the ones for boaters, of course, include navigational charts for the seas and not for the streets. So if you're looking for those type of GPS devices, we didn't cover that in this episode. Some safety tips. The best thing for using a GPS is to have a passenger run the GPS like we're doing. If that's not possible because you're traveling by yourself, then the best thing to do is to only adjust the GPS when you're stopped and when you're not you know, having to drive, because you want to keep your focus on the road. Also, you want to orient your GPS somewhere where it's easy to see while you're driving. I like to have it here to the left of the mirror. Again, depends on your car where you can put it. You also want to be careful that it's not in the way of an airbag. If it's somewhere down here by an airbag, if you're involved in a crash, you don't want the airbag coming out and propelling the GPS towards you. Also, the theft thing is something you have to be aware of. If you're in a certain area, you'll want to take it off your mount, maybe take it with you, and maybe take the mount off. And I've even heard that thieves even can see the imprint that the suction cup leaves on your dashboard. So, you know, that's something to be wary of. Alright, so we're arriving at our destination, so I hope that you learned a lot about what features you should look for in a GPS device and a little bit about how they work. I've been Michael Plasmeier, and this has been Tecker 901.
To watch this episode again, or to watch any of our prior episodes, you can visit our website, 911.tecker.net, T-E-C-K-E-R. And on the website, we have our prior episodes, as well as you can view them directly on the website, or you can download them in WMV for Windows, iPod or QuickTime format for your iPod, or if you have iTunes installed, an MP3 audio-only version of the show, and a WMV HD version of the show, which you can download via BitTorrent that looks really, really clear and in pristine HD quality. And instructions for downloading via BitTorrent are also on the site. On the right-hand side, we have more information about us and about each of the members of the show, as well as quick links to all of our prior episodes and links to the RSS feeds for each of the formats that we release the show in, and links to subscribe to the show in iTunes if you have an iPod, an Apple TV, an iPhone, any Apple device. You can click on that link in either video or audio format. You can also in iTunes search for Tecker, T-E-C-K-E-R, in the iTunes store, and then you can find our podcast that you can subscribe to free. Also, if you do not have an iPod, if you have like a generic MP3 player, then you can use you can still listen to our show if on our website you subscribe to this MP3 audio version in a feed catcher, in a podcatcher like Juice. You can search for Juice on Google, download that program, and then it'll load the shows automatically onto your generic MP3 playing device. If you have any questions about the show or about technology, you can send us an email at 911@tecker.net, or you can leave us a voicemail at 610-572-2847. Thank you so much for watching Tecker 901.